joining us today.
Thank you for us.
So first, I would like to begin with introducing our speakers very briefly, if you allow me. And Mr. Tümertekin is a practicing architect based in Istanbul. In addition to Istanbul, Atelier Tümertekin is settled in Strasbourg in 2014. His work includes projects primarily in Turkey, as well as in Netherlands, Japan, United Kingdom, France, China, Mongolia, and Kenya. Mr. Tümertekin was trained in architecture at Istanbul Technical University and graduated from the University of Istanbul. In addition to his built work, he has been teaching architecture since 1992 at several universities such as Harvard University, Graduate School of Design, École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne, l'École Spéciale d'Architecture. Please, apologies for I might be mistaken with it, in Paris. He is among the founders of the graduate program in architecture at Bilgi University, Istanbul, where he still teaches. Mr. Tümertekin's work have been widely published in international architectural journals, and the monograph of his work was published by Harvard University Press in 2006. Recipient of several architectural prizes, Tümertekin was presented at 2004 Aga Khan Award for Architecture for the B2 House. He served on the Aga Khan Awards as a master jury member for 2004 and 2007 cycle and the steering committee member from 2004 till 2016. Thank you very much again for joining us, and I will move on with Ms. Zeynep Tümertekin's CV very quickly. She was born in 1991 in Istanbul. She studied at Saint Michel French High School between 2005 and 2010. She moved to London in 2011. She graduated from Central St. Martin's University of the Arts with a Bachelor of Arts in Architecture degree in 2015. After graduation from university, she did her architecture internship in Eisenman Architects, New York during 6 months. She participated in several architectural conferences, seminars as an audience in New York. In addition to architectural works, she also participated in various art activities between 2016 and 17. She attended to No Lab Contemporary, the conceptual illustration of group exhibition with her illustrations and furniture designs. Her articles were published in various architecture and design magazines such as Istanbul Art News, Art Unlimited, Natura. Her Bandırma Park and Beyond Dwelling competition projects were taking place in exhibitions. From 2012, she carried on graphic works for institutions such as DJKAYEK, No Lab, Kiki, Mimarlar ve Tümertekin. She came back to Istanbul in 2016 and she continues to her architectural career in Mimarlar and Tümertekin. So now we can listen to your opinions about the questions that we raised to the participants. So we are with you.
Okay, thank you for having us. I would like to do a brief introduction about Venice Biennale and biennales in general. My first experience with Venice Biennale was in 1991 when Paolo Portoghesi was the curator. And when we had Zeynep as a baby 8 months ago, I was in the Venice Biennale, and except one, I've been visiting. I visited all the biennales, all the Venice architecture biennales from that date. To me, generally speaking, these kind of events are kind of a motivation atmospheres, and every time I left a biennale or the exhibition halls of a biennale, I ask myself what the feeling I had after doing the tour, and in case I'm jealous about something, it's something that's really um, that 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 I found really interesting and thoughtful. This is um, a short definition of my um, approach or vision about biennales. What about you, Zeynep?
You were just discussing what do we expect when we visit a Biennale or an architecture exhibition, and the first thing came on my mind was like intense research time for me. I think for young architects and older architects such as my father,
Not that older, but
not
let's say
that
mature.
older, okay. But I mean, because of we have like a difference of experience and knowledge, I think for younger architects, I might say that it's a very intense research time, and we can like to see different countries how they approach architecture and space and what kind of materials they use. All these kinds of stuff is very visual in a Biennale. So for me, I go there to learn and to get inspired, of course, not jealousy, but like, yeah, but mostly to learn and get to know people and let's say to be amazed of what kind of thoughts are in people's minds. So I find it very inspiring. Yeah, I can stop here.
Let me explain a bit in which cases I'm jealous and why jealousy is a motivation to me. Is that, of course, this kind of events is a concentration for a couple of days. Although it takes months and months, but the time that you can spend there physically is always limited to a couple of days. Then, um, first, that concentration, the atmosphere created having all around professionals and people that you know um, is a very interesting place to see what is going on, of course. But there are some cases that touches immediately um, you by doing something that you had always in your mind, maybe, but you never found the occasion to execute it or realize it. And then when I see that this kind of spots, this can be a project, this can be just an analysis of a situation. No matter the content, there are always at every biennale that I experienced, there are always some spots that touches you and that provokes you to rethink about something that you had vaguely or unconsciously in your mind, but when you see it, you start taking um, taking it at a different, new, and serious way. You start discussing and having thoughts on that. In similar cases, I say I should have done this, but the guy did this before me. That's the jealousy. That's the feeling of jealousy that I mean, not a jealousy a professional jealousy, but it is kind of a feeling that I immediately have.
You mean like, because you told us that you said I should have done this.
Yes, and at every Biennale, I had this feeling. In some of the Biennales, very few spots, but for example, coming to the actual one, I had a couple of similar feelings doing the tour. I spent roughly 3 days there, and I'm planning to go back to spend for another couple of days. But compared to the last one, I found something that touches immediately to me in the actual one, on ongoing Biennale.
The pre-space one. Can you give some examples, like
Sure.
given the experiences
Sure.
you have in architecture?
The models of Peter Zumthor. Well, I know that I'm a little bit old school about my architectural approach. I like the physicality and materiality and tectonics of architecture. That's why models of Peter Zumthor was very, very interesting and influencing me, influencing examples that I have seen.
I think the British Pavilion.
Oh yes, the British Pavilion was
very direct.
To me the best one, by doing the minimum possible, by not even making use of the existing building. They created an enormous amount of feeling when I get up and I have seen at the middle of the forest, surrounding forest, suddenly the sea with ships. It was, to me, very, very impressive.
And now we can please go on. Maybe we can turn to students at this point, and we can ask
maybe last words.
Maybe they have some questions.
Should I keep on going?
Yeah, please go ahead. And after you, maybe I will just ask the
I just want to say that it's very, I think it is very visual in the Biennale how countries evolve and what they're after, because like it's my third Venice Biennale this year, and I can see the evolution of the countries, and I'm sure from 91 till now, many countries entered the Biennale, such as Turkey, and like we're trying to have a voice, and I think many countries are doing the same thing, and this time I've seen very direct physical response to the question of the curators, and I think it's very important to even Turkey for us to have this answer to the creators' questions and their teams, because I think we have so many things to say, all of the countries, and it's a very good platform to actually show what we can do and what we care about and what we want to, like, it's kind of, I don't want to say like give a message to the world, but kind of it's a way to say like, oh, this country is here and they're doing this stuff, you know, and it's very interesting, like Mexico and all of these countries, like Arab Emirates, and I think it's like you said, it's a very dense place to just suck all the information and and to learn. And I think it's the best place, like what you did in Vardiya. I think for them it's like the best place to be, because it's it's place to learn, even like go to Giardini and just see. Like my first time in Giardini was not about the Biennale; it was about the buildings of the Biennale. So I was just trying to understand Giardini, like why are those buildings are there, who planned them, because it's another curation, like it's a curation of the buildings, and I think that part is very interesting about the Biennale too, and I can
just one last word.
Yes.
I think what you are doing, what the Turkish Pavilion is doing, is very interesting and helpful as I am listening to Zeynep, as I am listening to the thoughts of your generation. I appreciate that the approach of Turkish Pavilion was in this way. Instead of exhibiting interesting, eye-attracting objects or projects, they took a risk. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
And it's about production.
Yeah, without showing any completed work, they really, the curator took a risk. But I see when I was there, it was, I saw the risk, but I immediately appreciated the approach. But now that we have this session, and I am sure by answering the questions that we will have now, it will be much more clear to everybody that what you are doing is really something to appreciate.
That's great. Thank you very much for your comment. And now maybe we can turn to the participants. Like, have you got some questions? If we can have more questions.
Hello.
Hi.
Firstly, thanks for joining us today. My hand that's
Yes, we can hear you. Can you go ahead? Maybe you can get a bit closer to the microphone.
okay. My humble question is that in the age of globalization and internet, do you think biennales are still holding the power of sharing other countries' art and architecture, or their scope has changed to something different?
Go ahead.
I think nothing has changed because, I mean, we're architects and architecture is about space. And I mean, you still have to go to that space to feel everything around you. That's what I believe in. So I don't think seeing an image on internet or having a 360-degree like view on internet doesn't allow you to feel what you feel when you enter a space in the Biennale. That's what I think.
Well, yeah, I'm joining Zeynep. At the end of the day, yes, we all know, and your generation is have too many abilities to manage the new technologies, internet, etc. But at the end of the day, we all know that space is, maybe you can represent a space. The techniques of representations can be developed, but at the end of the day, the space is something you can't feel without being there. The sounds, the climate, the tactile issues, these are the things that are not transmissible
Yet.
Yet, let's say yet. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for the question. Can we go on with other questions from the pavilion? Yes, I guess we have one question there. Hale, can you tell me if you guys have any questions, because we can't hear you because of the microphone.
Yeah, I was just asking if anyone has a question, but
Are we allowed to ask questions?
Yes, of course.
Okay, I would like to hear from the audience that what are the feelings that you had the first day, and I don't know how many time each of you spent already. Is it your first days or day or
When does the cycle starts and ends, and like
yeah,
day?
today is our first day. Yeah,
First
we
day.
came together yesterday.
I would like to hear your thoughts and feelings about spending a couple of days over there. Then
Yeah, maybe we can ask their expectations then if they haven't seen anything yet.
oh yeah, why
Maybe
not?
they can give their share their expectations with us from the Biennale.
Okay, maybe I am not ready to talk about the expectations, but I would like to know if you can answer another question.
Sure.
Sure.
At the beginning, you were talking about the introduction of the Venice Biennale, but I would like to know the part that you referred to another biennales, and I would like to know the objective, or what do you consider could be the objective of making a biennale in general?
Okay. Well, I think the main thing, the main objective is always to get together. When you get together, then besides the things existing or events happening in the Biennale, you meet people. This is what I find crucial in such a event. Of course, by the time you start seeing crossing people that you know, but even like you in your first day, I am sure, and I am sure this is the case, then you met first at the studio, at the pavilion, and I am sure you will meet new people. And
It's a network.
it's kind of a networking, not the main objective is to create a networking, but it occasionally when you will be having your coffee, I am sure you will meet somebody, and you will start discussing on that. Then that's why, as I told you, that at the end of the day, there is this physicality and materiality of spaces, and at the end of the day, as being human people, we need to contact people and chat and discuss things. Then I think even compared to other Biennales, I think this is what remains the same to me. What about you? Or
Yeah, I would say, of course, meeting with people, but I think the main issue for me is the production and how, like I said, like how people produce stuff, and for me it's like and curates, like it's for me it's like visiting a factory, or like Chicago Biennale. It's one of the best for me, and I have never been, but I was always like you asked, I've seen the photos on internet, but it wasn't the same. So that's the next Biennale I want to see, because there are some it's a way of seeing stuff. It changes your perceptions. So I think it's about producing and understanding the production process of things, let's say.
Ana Laura? I think Ana Laura asked the question, so...
No, I just want to have a feedback. So you consider that in the case of this Biennale that is referring to the subject of free space is a theme that is inherent in every Biennale. That's a question, and I am wondering this because I am trying to make a reflection on the subject of free space, of being here and building this kind of networks and relations with people. And if that's an element present on every Biennale, so how can we make this kind of reflections? I don't know if you could help us think about that.
So you mean reflecting to the theme of the Biennale? That's what you're asking.
Yes, we are in this Biennale that it has a theme, as we know, is free space. So you are saying that every Biennale it's a kind of place to build networks and relations. So I am wondering if the free space is a characteristic of every Biennale, and if it is so, how can we think particularly in this being here in Venice?
Okay, that's a good question, actually. Okay, so of course, every Biennale or exhibition, we can say that it's a free space, depending on what you consider as free, because if you pay for something, then it's not free. If you pay to enter a space, then in my mind, it's not a free space. But I mean, I think
it's a very interesting point.
It's another discussion. So if you consider a space such as a Biennale as a free space, so then you have to produce something on it. That's what you ask, right? So like, what kind of could you repeat because you said, of course, it's a free space. I would say Biennale in an exhibition space is a free space, but then what was your question? What do you have to produce space? What is your question?
I just want to get close to a reflection of free space. And I thought that what you said before about all the biennales, that they are places to meet and to build networks, could be understood as a free space, as a characteristic of free spaces. And I wanted to know if you can share this idea, because that could help us to think about the theme of this Biennale. It was something like that. If I am not explaining myself correctly,
no, I understand.
People to understand, you can set me, because I don't find more words.
Okay. No, I go.
Yeah, please go.
I mean, I mean, I agree with you, and I know like what he said is about meeting with people and um, considering the Biennale or an exhibition as a free space. But at the same time, I don't think it's the only.
Sure.
It's not the only objective of a free space. So I don't know how to help you actually, because I mean you cannot limit yourself, but you can concentrate on a particular free space. So you can take the Biennale, or you can take the street or a square. So I don't know.
Maybe you can, instead of staying all the time in the pavilion, you can go outside and continue discussions that you are holding between you in some place in the Biennale. Maybe this can be a kind of a essay or you can free your space.
Yeah, today and tomorrow they will be actually looking around. For today they will see Arsenali because it's their first day, as they said, and tomorrow they will see Giardini, and I think then afterwards they will have much more ideas about this year's theme, and they will have enough time to think about the theme, I suppose.
And what is their duty? Like, what do they have to do in this particular Vardiya shift?
The theme of this shift is film space as free space. It's titled as film space as free space. So they will try to shoot a B-type horror movie.
Okay.
So, yeah, so they will work on. It's just the title of the workshop. However, for the first 2 days, they will explore the Biennale. So they will spend it like that, and then their tutors will arrive at Venice, and they will start work on their tasks, which we are also expecting. We are also looking forward to seeing the results. So that's it. So have you guys got any questions? Okay, I think that's all for today. If you have no questions. Thank you very much for the time. Have you got a question?
Yes, it's like a short one.
Okay, sure.
So, like, generally throughout the history, what are your opinions on the approach of Turkey to Biennale when compared with the other countries?
We are not that much experienced on that because this is our third one, and as a newcomer, I think it is going well. I think, to me, compared to two others that we had, this one will be much more interesting and productive. And I think compared to other national pavilions, we must wait till the end, of course. But that approach that I defined as a risky one will work very well. This is the feeling I have. But we must wait till the end to really evaluate it. But I see that this discussion we had with you and Zeynep, which means in a very close contact with your generation, I can tell you that that this is one of the best approaches that could be done to a Biennale. This can't be repetitive, of course, but to give you the opportunity to be there physically, not at a distance like we are now, to be physically experiencing the Biennale, having discussions from people from all over the world, is something that I really appreciate, and I hope the Turkish Pavilion's submissions will be better and better in the coming years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, and good luck.
So thank you very much for joining us again. It was great hearing your experiences and thoughts, and hope to see you another time.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
us. Good luck with all of you. Hope to
Bye-bye.
see your work. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.